The chair now recognizes Mr. Mast.
General Secretary, a sincere thank you to you and your staffs for the increased effectiveness that you undertook in this last year. Your superb management of the central and southern Florida waters in this past year, it was outstanding. We overcame a lot. I need your help to do it again. I want to play a quick video about where we've been and how we overcame this, just to refresh people on this. What you're going to see EPA Secretary Wheeler talk about a standard the EPA created, 8 parts per billion. Humans don't come in contact with microcystin and cyanobacteria, right? To put it in perspective, we've had toxic algal bloom discharges of 495 parts per billion. You're going to see General Spellman speak a little bit about what has occurred historically, that there have in fact been toxic discharges. You're going to hear Colonel Kelly from Jacksonville speak about how they overcame this in 2019, just as a refresher from everybody. So if they could play that video a moment, that'd be great.
This spring to set some numeric numbers so that people know what is safe and what's not safe. And for the microcystins, it's 8 micrograms per liter.
Has the Army Corps of Engineers transferred toxic water from Lake Okeechobee to the east through the C-44 reservoir into the St. Lucie estuary and the Indian River Lagoon, and to the west through the Caloosahatchee River?
Yes, sir. We have conveyed water out the system that have contained cyanobacteria and harmful algae blooms. Yes, sir.
And the Corps considers that toxic?
Yes, sir.
Moving water south of the lake to provide additional water south, and that right now allows us not to release or make any releases to the east and west. So this is going to be kind of the trend. The trend right now is not to do any releases east and west, while the majority of the water will be taken to the south. The dike is in a great position. We have very low risk. We are in an excellent position and able to maneuver water.
So I thank you all for watching that. I want to give you a chance to answer something that I think I know the answer to already, but very simply, does the Corps of Engineers want to have toxic discharges?
So, sir, I'll take the first lead. Absolutely not. We want to be able to continue to work within all of the federal standards and exceed them, if nothing else. You have been a champion, along with the governor, of continuing to try to figure out how to solve this problem. And I'm afraid, and this is where the whole issue of revolutionize, we can't sit behind our paperwork and say, hey, we know how to do it. We've been doing it for 50 years. So this whole idea of what is the schedule? It used to be LORS. Now we're looking at redoing it. What is the right balance of trying to keep enough water in the lake for recreation or for habitat, while at the same time making sure we don't have these kind of, discharges out there? We've seen great success last year, going down certainly to 12, even to the point where you were mentioning 10.5. We're going to continue to look at that, but we're taking on this study to try to figure out, instead of us trying to wing it year by year, what's the long-term approach, not just for when there's a lot of water, but when there's drought. So we're committed to doing the right thing here.
You guys killed it last year. I couldn't give enough accolades about what you did. Is it right now the stated goal, a stated mission to prevent toxic discharges out of Lake Okeechobee? Is that a stated mission?
It is definitely a stated mission.
Okay. Now, I want to talk about moving this forward. I think we have 3 emergencies that you have to deal with. There can be an emergency for the integrity of the Herbert Hoover Dike, right? Dike safety. That occurs because of too high of water on the lake. There can be an emergency because of toxic water discharge out to epicenters of population, poisoning those populations and people that are out in those waters. That also occurs because of too high of water. And there can be an emergency because there's not enough water supply. I acknowledge those are very, very difficult to balance. Now, in this last year, when you did it so successfully, were there any examples of any populations, anybody not getting this water supply that they needed?
There was not, but you know that we got very, very close when we went down low. And we started to see a lot of pushback, mainly on some of the Native Americans and some of the recreation on the actual inside the lake. And if you've seen the graph, and I've got it, I'll give you a copy afterward, but we then started pulling that line back up off of the minimum releases, so we brought it up a little bit, another couple of feet higher. It's where's that balance point? And there's no science, but it's going to be, how do we do adaptive management to continue to flex based on what Mother Nature's doing?
So we got to find that line, General. I want to have your help in working on this as we move into this year. 12 foot, the stated goal for this year, it's too high. If we would have been at 12 foot last year, moving into hurricane season, we would have had those toxic discharges. Your dike would have been at serious risk of failing with a Category 5 hurricane headed our way. I'd love to have your assistance in working back towards 11 feet where everybody got their water. We didn't have toxic discharges. The dike wasn't put at risk, and everything was able to be accomplished. I want your help in working towards this as we move into 2020 here.
Sir, this is one of our biggest priorities, to find the right place to do it. I'm not committed to a number, but I'm telling you, it's definitely a lot more like what we did last year than what it was several years ago.
Let's get to work.